Sorry guys, I had a hair in my mouth just before and my mouth still thinks it's there. I'm Trish. I'll give you a little bit of background because I forgot to when I made my video the other day, yesterday, whenever it was, I don't even know. I have been yes, I have been sleeved. I was lap banded in 2013 and then I ended up having to have that removed and I was sleeved in 2019. It's 2021 now. And I've been having problems with reflux and like choking on vomit in my sleep. Lots of fun stuff like that. I had also suspected that I was struggling with dumping syndrome, which is when the food just moves through your stomach too fast and makes you feel very, very unwell. I was fobbed off when I brought that up, but I'll go into that a little bit later in this video. So this video today is about some further testing I've had done. I had a barium swallow done a couple of days ago. I'll link the video for that. I'm actually getting not bad at this. I'm going to put it here. And today I went to have a couple more tests. I got that hair finally, it was stuck in my glasses. I went and had a couple more tests today and I have to actually look on my phone to see what they're called. One of them was a gastric emptying test and the other one was an esophageal transit study swallow test. And I had both of those done in nuclear medicine imaging because they had to give me radioactive traces for the imaging. And I'm really sorry, I can see on the screen that this video is a bit wonky, so just pretend it's not, because it's just, until I get a new tripod, this is the best I'm going to be able to do. So I just wanted to let everyone know what those tests are like. It was the first time I had tests like that. So I went to the Alfred Hospital for them. It reminds me, what a rigmarole you got to go just to get into a hospital now. Get a fancy visitor sticker. So yeah, I went to the nuclear medicine area and, you know, they get you to fill out a form with, you know, a little bit of relevant medical history and, you know, just all that sort of thing. And I was given a bit of conflicting information. One lot of information I was given said that I had to fast from 8 a.m. this morning. So I would have been allowed to get up and have a bit of breakfast before 8 a.m. and then I would be allowed to have small sips of water through the day because my appointment was at 1:45. And I had to stop taking any gastric medications for today. So that's things like, you know, Pariet and Gaviscon, Mylanta, all that sort of thing. Rennie's my favourite, Rennie's. So, but then I got some other information that said that I had to fast from midnight the night before and no food or drink at all until the test. So because I had that conflicting information, I just fasted from midnight last night and I didn't have any, I had a small sip of water this morning with my my other medication that I'm allowed to have and didn't take any gastric medications, didn't actually have anything since last Saturday because of the test on Monday and then this one today. And let me tell you, the heartburn last night, it was, I thought like the hole was just actually going to rip through my stomach and out of my skin. It was so bad. And when it gets that bad, it wraps around my chest. My whole chest hurts. And then, you know, because of my anxiety, I think I'm having a heart attack. And although I was pretty good last night, I knew to be sensible and that wasn't going to happen or wasn't actually happening. So anyway, so I went in to the hospital, filled out the forms, and then they took me into just like a, you know, if you've ever had an X-ray or CT or anything, you know what those rooms look like. You know, they've got the fancy bed there and the fancy machines and all the rest of it. And they sat me down and they got me a nice little bowl of oats, which were absolutely delicious. When I make my oats at home, I have plain oats, and if I want them a little bit sweeter, I put some dates in them or sultanas or apple or, you know, something like that. I don't, well, actually I have been buying the flavoured oats, but that's another story for another day. That's about portion control. But for the most part, when I'm being sensible, I don't put any sugar or anything in my oats, and I make mine with oat milk. These oats today were made with cream and sugar. that, you better believe that was a treat to eat. And they put the radioactive tracer in the oats. Now, they made up these oats very, very thick. I normally have mine quite runny. These oats were very thick. I had to actually chew them to get them down, although that's probably just lap band and sleeve habit. You know, chew everything really, really well. I couldn't taste the radioactive tracer in the oats. The oats were actually quite delicious. I was given 5 minutes to eat them, and it wasn't a huge bowl, so I managed to get them down in that 5 minutes. I felt quite full because I've got a teeny tiny little tummy. I guess it was probably, I'm going to say about a half cup serve. I'm not 100% sure, but it looked like maybe around about a half cup serve, maybe a little bit less. So then they got me to, I didn't have to get changed into a gown or anything. I just wore what I'm wearing now, and I'm wearing like an underwire bra and everything. All they got me to do was to take off my necklace, and I had to lay on, you know, like the sliding table bed thing. I had to lay on that on my back. They gave me a pillow for under my head. Had to lay on that on my back without moving for an hour and a half. And I wasn't allowed to fall asleep, because if you fall asleep, then your whole body relaxes and it messes up the results of the test. Now, I'm not a person who can just, number one, lay on my back for that sort of time and not fall asleep. And number two, just lay there doing nothing. I took my crochet with me. I thought I'd be able to crochet. I don't know what I was thinking. So I was allowed like one free hand, because the machine, they bring it down, and the machine sort of like goes across your body like that. So you can't, I mean, I probably could have moved my hand, but I had to keep my arms by my side, or this one that I was allowed to have free, I was allowed to bring up and put it behind my arm and, you know, touch my phone and all that sort of thing. But you're not allowed to put your hands over your chest or your tummy, because that's where they're taking the images of. So I just wore my clothes, didn't have to get changed at all. The lady said that it didn't matter about my underwire bra, so I thought, cool. I'd actually been looking forward to getting my bra off, because I hate having a bra on. I was looking forward to a couple of hours without a bra, but that didn't happen. Yeah, so you lay on your back and you lay still. You're allowed to move your feet and your legs around, which I did. I was okay for about the first half hour, but I've got a pinched nerve in the back of my left hip, like coming like from my back. And that causes me quite a lot of pain if I have to be on my feet for more than a few minutes, or, as I found out today, if I have to lay on my back for an extended amount of time. It was okay for the first half hour, but then the pain set in, and my whole leg, well, not my whole leg, but my leg from like the top of my bum cheek and around, wraps around to the front and down to my knee, it was really hurting, like nerve pain hurting. So I just had to suck it up and get through it, because I didn't want to have to start the test over and all this sort of thing. And in hindsight, I wouldn't have been able to take endone or anything anyway, because it's an opioid and it slows down the motility of your stomach, so that would have affected the test as well. And that was actually one of the questions that I had to answer on the form, was if I'd had any opioids. But I certainly would have taken Panadol before I went in. But, you know, hopefully I don't need to do this test again. So yeah, so I laid on my back for an hour and a half, and they took a photo, or like a picture, like an X-ray picture every, I was trying to count the number of seconds, because after the first half hour, right, the lady came out to, you know, check on me and make sure I was okay and everything. And they put a blanket over me to keep me nice and warm. So she came out to check on me, and we're just having a little bit of a chat. And then I saw that there was a screen. She pointed to a screen that was near me, and I said, oh, is that pictures of like what the pictures that you're taking now? And she said, yeah. And I said, oh, can you spin that around so I can look at it? So she moved it around, she brought it around so I could see it. And that was quite useful, because there was still an hour to go, and I was finding it really difficult to stay awake. So with that, I was watching that, and you know, I only vaguely know what I'm looking at, but I was able to look, because I could see the contrast, and it was making pictures on the screen. Because by the time I saw it, because my tummy moves the food through so quickly, almost all of it had already moved into my small intestine. And the way that it was in my small intestine, I was, you know, it's like looking at the clouds and you make pictures. I was looking at the contrast in my small intestine and making pictures out of it. You know, I saw Freddie Mercury and all sorts of things. So that kept my mind occupied as well. And I queued up some YouTube videos on my phone to listen to with headphones as well. So I think over the course of the 90 minutes, they took about 999 photos or images. There was, you know, other than, I mean, I've got a pinched nerve, so I was in pain. But for a normal person, there's no pain involved. I couldn't taste the radioactive traces or anything like that. So that first test, I don't think I said what it was called. I told you what the two tests were, but the first one that they did that I've just described now, that was the gastric emptying test. And that was to see how fast the food moved through my stomach and then into my small intestine. And apparently, because when she came out at the half-hour mark and it was almost all already in my small intestine, I said to her, oh, is it supposed to move through that fast? And she said no. So, and then at the end of the test, at the end of the 90 minutes, I asked her if there was any food or like any of the tracer left in my stomach. And she said there was just about none, just almost none left in my stomach. And there would normally be a bit left, like not a lot left, but not just about none. So I'll be very interested to see what the surgeon says about that. So once they finished that, then I had the next test, which was the Oesophageal Transit Study Swallow Test. And that one only took a couple of minutes. They got a syringe with 10 mils of water, just plain water with the radioactive tracer in it. She did, and you do that one twice, but she gave me a 10 mil syringe with just water, no tracer in it, just to practice run the first time. And then that was okay. And this one I had to do still laying down and I wasn't allowed to move at all. And she just gets the syringe, because I can't sit up to drink. So she gets the 10 mil of water with the radioactive tracer and she puts it in my mouth and she squirts it in. And then I have to hold it into my mouth and then she counts me down, 3, 2, 1, and then swallow. And so I did that, 3, 2, 1, and I swallow and then I stay still. And they take pictures for the next minute, or it might even be a film, I don't know. And that's just to see the radioactive tracer going down my esophagus and into my stomach to see if I've got any reflux, to see if any comes back up. Now, for that minute that they're taking those pictures, you're not allowed to swallow again. Now, you'd think that's not that hard to do, and I actually managed to do it. But as soon as someone says to you, for the next minute, you can't swallow, all you want to do is swallow. So I just concentrated on my breathing, and I know for myself that I normally breathe like 5 or 6 times per minute. So I was just concentrating on nice slow breathing and out, and I just counted my breaths. And I think it was about 5 or 6 breaths for each time that I wasn't allowed to swallow. So they did that, and then they did the same process again, 10 mil of water with the radioactive tracer, squirted into my mouth and I had to hold it, and she counted me down, 3, 2, 1, swallowed it. And then they do the films for the minute while I stay still and not swallow. And then that was it. She went off and she checked him to make sure she didn't need to do any more scans or anything, and it was all fine. She said it looked like there was a tiny little bit of reflux, but not much. So I'm talking to the surgeon tomorrow to find out what the results of all of that are, and I will make another video for everyone then. So this was just a quick one. Hope this was a quick one. I can't see because I haven't got my glasses on how long it was, but I'll talk to you again tomorrow.